Hello friends, welcome to GCA. Hope you all are doing good. So today in this video, I will be discussing about my self-description strategy that I followed. And before this, I've already made videos on my personal interview strategy, TAT strategy, WAT strategy, and blank story strategy. And if you want to watch these videos, then the link is available in the I button. So here I will explain firstly my mistakes that I did in initial attempts. Then I will explain the changes that I did with the help of example. So this strategy may or may not work for you, but it worked for me. So again, without wasting any time, let us start. So let us now talk about the basics of SD, that is the self-description test. So SD is the fourth in the psych test, and in this test, the candidates are required to write down his or her opinion the following people think about them. So in this, you need to write 4 paragraphs in around 3 to 4 lines for each paragraph, which will contain what your parents think about yourself, then what your teachers think about yourself, and if you're working, then your employer, and then what your friends think about yourself, and if you're working, then your colleagues, and finally your own opinion. And in this, you have to mention around 3 positive aspects and 1 area of improvement. So let us now discuss my strategy. So let us first discuss the mistakes that I did during initial attempts. So the very first was there was no introspection, and I was looking for the best SD from various sources. For example, I was reading the SDs of recommended candidate from various websites. Then I was reading SDs from various books, basically to impress the assessor so that my SD should look good. And this was the biggest mistake. Then I was mostly writing OLQs in SD. For example, like instead of mentioning those qualities with the help of example, I was just writing the adjectives. Let me explain with the help of an example. So this is how I used to write SD in my initial attempts. So like I mentioned, I used to write a lot of adjectives rather than explaining the particular quality. For example, my parents thinks that I am honest, trustworthy, self-confident and practical person, and my employer thinks that I am creative and I can solve any task. So this is not how you have to write SD. So you have to explain your quality. Now let us discuss the changes that I did after I became serious for the SSB preparation. So the very first thing is I took professional guidance. So I have mentioned this again and again in my previous videos also, that for psych test you need professional guidance. You need a mentor who can guide you, who can rectify your mistakes. Then the second most important thing that I did is I did self-introspection by taking help of my friends, my parents and my employer. And I can say this was a great help because this time my SD was my own. Like previously I was looking for SDs from various sources of other candidates. Then my SB became short as well as crisp. Like I mentioned in the start of the video that you have to write 1 para for around 4 lines, 3 for the positive aspect and 1 for the areas of improvement. So my SD was like that. And now instead of writing those adjectives or OLQs, I used to explain those qualities. Now let me explain you with the help of an example. Now this is how my SD became short and crisp. So like I mentioned that earlier, I used to write adjectives like my parents thinks that I'm honest, I'm responsible, I'm trustworthy. Now I used to explain these qualities. For example, in the way like my parents include me in all the discussions at home and they believe that I can handle any challenge. So this basically shows that you're a responsible person. Then my employer discusses important organization issues and he also take my viewpoint. Similarly for friends also, like instead of writing directly that my friends say that I'm shy, I used to explain this quality like that. Like my friend says that I take a little bit time to open up. Then similarly, in my opinion also, I believe that I'm a person who value relationships. So this is how I used to write. So the reason for not mentioning my complete SD here is that because the probability of copying SD is more and this will do more harm to you. So please make your own SD, follow these steps. Do self-introspection and make your SD short and so crisp. Finally in the summary, let me give you suggestions for writing best SD. So take proper guidance if you can, then write it short and crisp. Take help from others, that is friends, parents and teachers, that is do self-introspection. Then avoid writing OLQs like I mentioned before, and finally do a timed practice. Set a stopwatch for 15 minutes and try to complete SD within 15 minutes. So friends, this was all about today's video and I hope this information will be beneficial for you. So till then, keep learning, keep supporting and keep watching. Thank you and Jai Hind.